Margaret Collins was 68 when the tingling in her feet started. It began as a faint buzzing sensation, like walking on soft needles. At first, she ignored it. She chalked it up to age, to poor circulation, maybe even her old walking shoes. But months passed, and the numbness crept up her ankles, sometimes leaving her toes so cold and stiff that she struggled to feel them touch the carpet. Her doctor diagnosed her with peripheral neuropathy, a condition that affects the nerves, often starting in the extremities. It's common in older adults, he said, especially those with diabetes, vitamin deficiencies, or nerve inflammation. He offered her medications for the pain, but Margaret was stubborn. "I want to know why this is happening," she told him, "and what I can do." She dove into research. She started journaling everything she ate. She joined a neuropathy support group online and compared notes with strangers who sounded just like her. That's when she stumbled across something surprising. Some of the vegetables she'd believed were healthy staples might actually be worsening her condition. At first, it seemed impossible. Margaret had always prided herself on eating clean, plenty of vegetables, minimal processed foods, daily walks. But as she looked closer, she found something shocking. Certain vegetables contain compounds that can worsen inflammation or disrupt nerve signaling in people already prone to neuropathic symptoms. The more she studied, the more a pattern emerged. 3 common vegetables, staples in many kitchens, came up repeatedly, and when Margaret removed them from her diet, something remarkable happened. The tingling lessened. The numbness didn't disappear completely, but it eased. Her legs stopped burning at night. For the first time in a year, she could feel the warm water in the shower on her toes. Here's what she learned. 1. Tomatoes, a hidden trigger. Margaret had always loved tomatoes. She ate them fresh from the garden, blended into sauces, and sliced onto sandwiches. But tomatoes belong to the nightshade family, a group of vegetables that contains solanine, a natural pesticide produced by the plant to deter pests. For most people, solanine doesn't pose a problem, but in sensitive individuals, especially those with autoimmune disorders or nerve conditions, solanine can contribute to inflammation. Some studies and anecdotal reports suggest that nightshades may worsen symptoms of arthritis and neuropathy by irritating the nervous system and gut lining. Margaret had never heard of this before, but when she eliminated tomatoes, along with eggplants, bell peppers, and white potatoes, all nightshades, she noticed a difference within a few weeks. The strange buzzing in her heels became fainter. She no longer jolted awake with burning pain in her arches. 2. Potatoes. More than just starch. White potatoes were another staple in Margaret's diet. She baked them, mashed them, and fried them with olive oil for Sunday brunch. But like tomatoes, white potatoes are nightshades and contain solanine. Even worse, they're high on the glycemic index, meaning they cause a rapid spike in blood sugar. For those with nerve issues, especially diabetics, blood sugar control is crucial. Spikes and crashes can damage nerves over time, making symptoms like numbness, tingling, and pain even worse. Margaret had borderline blood sugar levels. She'd never been diagnosed with diabetes, but her A1C was hovering just below the threshold. When she cut out white potatoes, not only did her foot sensation improve, but her blood sugar stabilized too. She swapped in sweet potatoes instead, which have a lower glycemic load and are packed with antioxidants. 3. Corn, a surprise culprit. Corn wasn't something Margaret thought about much. She didn't eat much popcorn or slather corn on the cob with butter like she used to in her youth. But she consumed corn in hidden ways. Cornmeal in muffins, corn syrup in dressings, even corn oil in salad mixes. Corn is another high glycemic food, and it can provoke inflammatory responses in the body, especially when genetically modified or overly processed. For those dealing with neuropathy, even a low-grade inflammatory response can worsen symptoms. When Margaret did a full kitchen audit, she realized how often corn showed up in her meals. She eliminated it completely for 30 days. The change was subtle but undeniable. Her feet didn't feel as heavy. The pins and needle sensation that once came every morning became occasional rather than constant. But removing foods was only part of the answer. Margaret knew she needed to nourish her nerves with foods that could help heal, not just avoid the ones that harmed. Here's what she turned to instead. 1. Leafy greens, magnesium power, spinach, kale, Swiss chard. These greens became the base of Margaret's meals. They're rich in magnesium, a mineral crucial for nerve function. Magnesium helps calm nerve signals and reduce inflammation. Many adults over 60 are deficient without realizing it. She began every morning with a green smoothie, spinach, unsweetened almond milk, frozen berries, and a dash of flaxseed. By noon, she felt more alert, less fatigued, and her feet no longer throbbed the way they used to after sitting too long. 2. Omega-3 rich foods. Nerve rebuilders. Margaret added more wild salmon, sardines, chia seeds, and walnuts to her diet. Omega-3 fatty acids are known for their ability to reduce nerve inflammation and support cell repair. Within a few weeks, the sharp, stabbing pains that had haunted her evenings started to fade. She slept better. Her moods improved. She felt like her brain was sharper too, as though the fog she'd been dragging through had lifted. 3. B vitamins, especially B12 and B6. Her doctor had once tested her B12 levels and found them low normal. After reading that B12 deficiency was a common cause of neuropathy, Margaret began supplementing with a methylated B complex and added foods like eggs, nutritional yeast, and grass-fed beef to her weekly rotation. The result was one she hadn't expected. She could finally walk barefoot across the living room without feeling like she was floating. For the first time in a year, she could feel the grain of the wood floor under her feet. 4. Turmeric and ginger, natural inflammation fighters. Margaret began brewing turmeric tea in the afternoons, combining fresh turmeric root with ginger, lemon, and a pinch of black pepper to enhance absorption. Both turmeric and ginger are known for their anti-inflammatory properties, and though they didn't cure her neuropathy, they helped her manage flare-ups when they came. 5. Avocados and olive oil, healthy fats for nerve insulation. To nourish her nerves, Margaret made sure her meals were rich in healthy fats. She drizzled olive oil on her greens, mashed avocado into toast, and added coconut oil to her cooking. She wasn't afraid of fats anymore. She saw them as protectors, insulating the damaged nerves, giving her body what it needed to rebuild. Now, 2 years later, Margaret isn't cured. She still has occasional numbness, especially on cold days, but she's no longer afraid. She understands her body now. She listens. She eats not just to live, but to heal. And every time someone in her walking group mentions their own tingling feet or burning toes, she shares her story, not as medical advice, but as hope. Sometimes healing doesn't come from a pill, she says. Sometimes it starts with what you put on your plate.